Rich, we're on.
Woo! Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the fourth Onyx Path Virtual Convention. Fourth
More.
what? Fourth?
Woo!
It's so
Woo!
Yep.
weird that it's four.
I
Yeah, I
know.
know. It is weird. Certainly, when we did it the first time, we didn't expect it. I'm Rich Thomas, founder of Onyx Path Publishing and creative director. And these are these other people.
Hello, we're other
They're
Introduce
people.
also
yourselves,
people.
other people.
Hi, I'm Dixie Cochran. I'm one of the developers here at Onyx Path Publishing, and I am excited to be here. I'm also on the Onyx Pathcast, and I'm going to be in a bunch of panels and at least one game this weekend.
Ooh. My name is Eddy Webb. I'm the executive producer at Onyx Path. Pronouns are he, him. I am running 2 games this weekend at very early times for people who are not in Europe.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
excited to watch your games, and I saw they were at 6 in the morning, and I was like, "Fuck that."
just stay up all night like you usually do. It's fine.
I go to bed by 2 most nights. Hurt.
But I'm running Realms of Pugmire, the latest edition of that, and also They Came from Classified. And I'm going to be on like a gazillion other panels until I fall asleep.
Came from Classified.
Yes, because nobody else is running it. Damn it.
Hi, I'm Dee. I am an in-house developer. I'm going to be on a bunch of panels. I'm going to be playing in a game tonight of Adventure, which I'm very excited about. And also running a showcase of our new StoryPath Ultra system. So if you're interested in seeing what StoryPath Ultra looks like, I will be running that tomorrow night.
I'm super excited about that one. I don't get to watch the whole thing because we have an awesome Branch Riders panel that I'm sure we'll talk about. But I'm going to watch it before and after. Maybe I'll watch the replay. So
Yeah.
I'm also
Yeah.
playing in Realms of Pugmire tomorrow night, the new edition of Pugmire, at 8:30. So I will cover the night version of Pugmire for you, Eddie. How
The
does that
night,
work?
the night
The
Pugmire.
Night Pugmire. Pugmire of the Night.
When darkness falls over Pugmire.
Although it's funny, it's actually my Realms of Pugmire game is a adventure I ran once for a Halloween charity game, so it's going to be Halloween themed.
All right.
But it's daytime, so it's very weird.
So
Right.
it's treats and treats.
Yes, all tricks. All
Dogs
tricks.
don't want to hear about the tricks. So, all right. Well, yeah. We've got, as you Carter's got a feeling, we're all involved with various panels throughout the course of all this, and we are also running a lot of actual plays, which Eddie and Dixie and Daniel were talking about, and then you can also play
What?
or run games during the course of this convention, and the amount as a game runner, which is we've got so many different. We have story towers, story guides, and GMs, and so if you're running a game, you can choose to charge for that, and if you do,
Mhm.
the proceeds from that, a percentage will go to our charity for the convention, which is our good friends at the Bodana Group, who are trying and succeeding in looking at ways and creating ways to use tabletop RPGs and tabletop gaming for therapeutic purposes, as that is their actual important thing that they do in the world, as opposed to the rest of us who just make these silly games that everybody has a good time with.
Yes,
So,
we
Literally
love
everybody.
Donna.
Everybody has a good time with them. Everyone.
yep. Well, we better have Dixie, because we're going to be on the Bodana Branch Riders panel, and and if somebody doesn't stop us, Jack and I generally just start talking about old Marx Brothers movies and television shows that were canceled before he and I were even born.
Well, I
I
mean,
can absolutely confirm that.
Yeah.
A, I will say I think that's why I'm on that panel, but B, we did just add Doug to that panel today, so maybe Doug can help keep us on track.
Doug will desperately try to talk about Branch Riders, but then
Yeah.
we'll find a way. We'll find a way.
Of course
You're
you
the
will.
only adult in the room.
Me?
Yep.
I
Oh, the
get to
pressure.
be the adult.
The pressure is on.
Look at his hair. It's not adult hair. Leave me alone.
So
I think you're an adult, Dixie.
Thank you. I will. I'm sitting here in my pajama pants.
Like an adult would.
Like an
the
adult.
advantages of the virtual convention,
Sitting
in a
cross-legged.
nutshell, you can attend in your pajamas and no one's gonna know.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, Yes.
Now, granted, some of the years we did Gen Con, I'm not sure we were all in regular clothing anyway. But
I mean, if you're brave, you can wear pajamas anywhere.
It's
It's
true.
true.
that's right.
It's true.
The courage of your convictions.
Hey.
But that's also a thing. Like virtual conventions, we said this is our fourth time we were doing this. First time we did it, it was right while things were getting very weird,
Mhm.
heading into COVID or in mid-COVID, depending on where you are in the world. And this was the only way we could have a convention that year, and we just had such a great
Yep.
time, and we hope a lot of other people had a great time, and so we said, this is a good way to do it. Plus, generally when we have conventions around United States, Canada, a couple places in Europe, we don't get to see everybody.
Yeah.
But on a virtual one, if you have the time to pop in, you can get ask us questions, which I think we'll have some time for with this almost any of our panels, but this one for sure. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't matter if you're wearing pajamas. You can just do it.
I will say I'm already seeing some questions in the chat about specific game lines. Please try to hold some of those for like the panels about those things, whether it's about Onyx 20 or Story Path Ultra, or we have specific panels for all the game lines going on this weekend. So that's really where you're going to get those questions answered. And honestly, Rich might not have the answers to all those. D probably does, as a mechanic said.
I have your answers. I won't give them to you. Sorry.
Which is
Not
the best.
here.
Yep.
Hoard them like secrets.
This is just the opening, and Danielle's only going to say hello. Just want to get you started.
Yep. Just, hey, how's it going?
Stop.
Yeah, I mean, mostly what happens is that for a lot of times is we run out of things to talk about, and then we'll take some questions.
Right. But that brings up a good point, like you were talking about, Rich, is that even when we did and still do in-person conventions, we'd be lucky if we get like 1 or 2 panels on the card. And usually it's kind of here's our general what's up with Onyx Path panel, and maybe like horror and gaming. We could talk a little bit about World Darkness or whatever. But when we have an entire panel or a convention devoted to us, we can have things like, let's have a specific Onyx 20 panel. Let's have a specific Story Path Ultra panel. We could talk about branch writers in ways that at a in-person convention, we wouldn't be able to do because we're sharing space with so many other game companies. So it allows us to really target and get all of you exactly the information you're looking for that we just couldn't do at a physical convention.
Yeah, I also love that we get to keep it for posterity. Like, we can put it on YouTube, we can have it on Twitch. People can go back and watch them. So, like, I say this every time we do a virtual convention. I've said it on the Pathcast a million times. If y'all don't know, we have a podcast called the Onyx Pathcast. It's pretty great. But, like, every time I say, like,
I agree.
I've got people in the chat right now. Like, I see our friend Tom from Germany. Like, there's people from all over the world. There's fans from Europe. There's fans from the US. There's fans from all over that can talk to us, that can, interact, and you can watch it on your own time, because I know that there's always people we announce the schedule that are like, oh, I'll be at work that day, or oh, I'll be here, I'll be that, and it's like, yeah, but you could just watch it later. I'm sorry you can't be in the chat, but like, you still get to see all the information. So
yeah,
I like
pop in and out. That's another great thing about it. You can pop in and out as you need to. And I think, Dixie, you mentioned all of these are going to show up on our YouTube channel. So if you had a question, we didn't get to it, but it was answered on the Scion panel, you can check that on YouTube and see if they answered the question in the course of what was going on.
Or you can join our Discord, and inevitably someone has already seen that and will answer your questions directly on there if you don't want to actually watch the video.
We have many people deeply engaged and with excellent answers on our Discord.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all of our social media, really.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how many times I've been like in the middle of working on something, and I'll see something happening on the Pugmire channel. I'll go, okay, let me just finish this bit, and then I'll go answer that. And like 3 people have already answered the question before I even get there, and they're all right answers. It's like, oh, fantastic.
Yeah, as long as they're right answers.
Sure.
That's so awesome.
Or they're hilariously wrong, but which is also fun.
I like the, ask a question, wrong answers only, but not when they're wrong answers in earnest.
Right. Yeah.
Well, right.
Yeah, because
that's less fun.
social media, not everybody is actually, the expert that maybe that day they thought they were.
Mhm.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I've answered questions wrong that I was like, oh, I just misremembered something. I say all the time that once I read a book or edit a book, it goes straight out of my head, and that's true. Which means that sometimes I answer something with what I think is confidence, and then it turns out that I was wrong,
Mhm.
either because I was just wrong or because it got changed after I looked at it, because stuff gets changed. It happens.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, Eddie. Bring it up.
Bring up what? Oh, Wad Mafia?
That never existed.
Never
There's no such thing.
Way back in the day, I did another podcast called the White Wolf Blogcast, where it was just me, and this is when we were all in the physical office in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And I was interviewing Rich, and we were talking about some of the books, and I happened to mention it's like one of the books I really enjoyed was the World Darkness Mafia, because how it approached not the real world mafia, but kind of the movie mafia. And Rich was like, "We never did a book like that," and was very sincere about this, like going, "I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "No,
I
it
had
existed."
no memory of it whatsoever.
And I started citing stuff about it, and Rich is like, "I have no idea what you're talking about," and it
No,
was
you're making this up.
amazing.
Literally last night, I was doing character creation for the Pugmire game I'm in, and one of them asked what I'd worked on, and I listed off the books I'd worked on, and I was like, "There's one more. Oh, the one I developed, right? The adventure collection, the one I was
Right.
literally in charge of, was the
Right.
only one that I completely forgot to mention for a minute. I was like yeah, I worked on Pugmire Monarchy. No, I forgot that I developed a book. Granted, that was in like 2018, so it doesn't count anymore.
Yeah, if it's before COVID, there's no onus to not having a memory.
I don't
We
remember
lost cells.
anything that I made or did before 2020. I definitely don't remember anything I did during 2020.
Well, I do remember what I worked on during 2020, only because it was Anima, and it got real awkward to do the dystopian game where everyone was
right.
forced to stay inside during 2020.
It wasn't on purpose,
Yeah.
folks. I promise.
No,
Yeah, well, I mean,
much like a Contagion Chronicle, which is
Right.
like, oh, ooh.
We didn't know. Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of cause and effect that you can find in the world. That's not one of them.
It's true.
Yeah. Yes.
It's actually all Chuck Wendig's fault. But
So,
What?
Well, what isn't really Chuck Wendig's fault?
so all of these reasons we were talking about, though, are pretty much why I think we're still doing the virtual convention. Because I know that a few of us are starting to trickle back to regular conventions,
Mhm.
in-person conventions.
Yep.
But to have a convention all to ourselves, we're going to talk about the stuff we're working on that we're excited about, and be able to put it up online and see people from all over. That's all really important. So, I mean, we don't plan super far in the future, so I know we're going to do it forever, but that's why we're still doing it now, even in the age of Matthew and Eddie having just gotten back from UK Games Expo like a week ago.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, sometime January, February, somebody will bring it up in our Monday meeting of,
Mhm.
are we going to do it again this year? And then we'll all, throw it in there. And usually it comes down to, well, yeah, why? I mean, unless we can't, if there's some
Yeah.
reason we can't, seems like a fun way to spend the weekend. And it certainly is for us.
Mhm.
Again, like I said, I hope everybody else feels the same way.
I mean, maybe not for Travis, but
True. The pulling all the strings behind the scenes.
I mean, Travis he's taking a break right now because I'm running tech for this one, so,
Right.
Right.
He's actually just hanging out in the chat.
Which
Look
I'm
at
sure
you,
is novel for
Travis.
him.
Right. But kudos and thanks and commiserations to Travis, because he really does have to pull this whole thing together on the nuts and bolts end of things. And
Yeah, like all of our
we just make
layouts
those
and
big
stuff.
decisions that hey, let's do this thing, and he's like, how? Oh, I just had
Yeah.
14 people drop out. What?
Right. Or
sorry.
me going, Travis, like, remember, I'm in a different time zone now, so I can't do games at like 8 p.m. Eastern anymore because that's 1 a.m. my time.
Right? Yeah, I know that's a lot for you. I can't imagine. Even doing one at 8:30 for me tomorrow night, because I know that's gonna make it go till 11:30 or something. I'm like, I haven't
Mhm.
done this in a hot minute because I haven't been
Yeah.
like streaming much recently.
Yeah.
Usually by 10 o'clock, I'm in chill mode. Like, yes, I stay up late, but I stay up late like having a glass of wine and watching TV, not like doing
Vegging,
things.
not concentrating, which is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually I'm either drawing or playing on my Switch. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Same. I'm either like on my Steam Deck or like flipping through manga or whatever. I'm not focusing on anything.
All right. So we were discussing a few things and what we wanted to get across here, and I think we've hit the this is a fun thing, and we're very glad that everyone's attending, and we're really looking forward to other things we're doing this whole weekend, and answer questions and playing games and having a good time. We also discussed maybe we wanted to reveal something today in this here panel or announcement or what opening
These
ceremonies. Like
opening
it's an
ceremonies.
indeterminate thing, doesn't fit into our stuff. Dixie,
What? Oh, what?
do you have access to the trailer?
I do. Do you want to watch a little video? All right, here it
This is
goes.
the worldwide premiere
Mm-hmm.
of this. Just a trailer, kids. Just a trailer. It's not a thing.
And we'll be right back.
Very
Oh,
quickly.
well, it's too late now, Rich. I already transitioned it back over.
No. What I wanted to do here is so that is the trailer for the trailer teaser, a teaser trailer
Mm-hmm.
for Scion the TV show made by our
Mhm.
friends at Jenkins and Tate, who are the
So excited.
production company that is working on putting everything together so that they have a chance to get this on the air.
Mhm.
And as I understand it, it was M74 Post who did the beautiful VFX work,
Mm-hmm.
and the composer Pier Nicola Di Moro for just
Wow.
absolutely inspiring music, and of course Brian Jenkins and the rest of the gang at Jenkins and Tate who banged their heads together for making the whole thing come together.
I really love what they did with the logo. They kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
took it and they sleeked it up a little bit, made it more like TV, but they still
Mhm.
kept the heart of it.
Yeah.
Which makes me happy.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time on the logo. They were working on that back and forth, and one of the great things about working with Jenkins and Tate is that they're not interested in taking our stuff and then just coming back to us 2 years later and going, "Hey, we did this stuff."
Right.
I guess they'd be more like, "Hey, we did this stuff, governor."
Oh, I really hope they're not watching.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
Hi, Brian.
Brian is probably watching, and he's probably laughing his arse off, because they are based in England, so
Yes.
hence my atrocious English accent for that. But yeah, so a lot of work goes in there, going back and forth with me and the other folks at Onyx Pass, so that they can stay true, as Dixie was saying, stay true to what the core of this is, even while they're going to have to do things that make it work for TV.
Right.
So
Yes.
Right. And since someone mentioned this in chat, we're very early in the process. Mark, you're there very early in the process, so we don't have things like who's going to be in it or
Right.
what platform it's going to be on. This is very early days, so this is just a little teaser because you guys have been so cool and devoted to us and are excited about this. We want to make sure you guys had a chance to look at it.
Yeah.
You folks had a chance to look at it. But yeah, no, we don't have any more details besides look at the cool trailer.
yeah, I mean that's the thing about it, is they were very nice, very gracious, and allowed us to do the premiere of it. It's going to show up on all their social media, Jenkins and Tate's social media, and then we're also going to we may run it again in the Scion panel coming up this evening or this afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, this morning. And then we will probably run it again in What's Up with the Onyx Path just because we think it's pretty cool.
It is very cool.
What if I went rogue and started running it randomly whenever I didn't like what was being said?
Like in the middle of Pugmire?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's not like I would know Dixie until somebody complained. So
Dixie has become the rogue AI.
yeah.
The Onyx Path channel just becomes like this on a loop forever.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say she doesn't want to kill us all. She just wants to run this video.
The actual villain of Anima, Dixie Cochran.
It's just this little teaser.
You get
Oh,
to the
Mark
back of the
Ewing.
book and it's just a picture of Dixie.
Well, technically, if we're talking about the Anima teasers, I was the villain of Anima in those.
That's true.
I
That's
just,
true.
with a really distorted voice and wearing my boyfriend's clothes.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
As you do.
As you do.
Like, who wouldn't do that?
Yeah, it was fun.
I remember doing those. Those are great.
So what else do we want to talk about here? What else is
You had
important
some
to...
stuff you want to talk about that I bet Dee would be excited about. But maybe not.
Now I'm confused.
I don't know. We have stuff for What's Up. We have stuff for opening ceremonies.
That's true.
We
We
have
have a
all
lot
kinds
of
of
stuff
things
to talk about.
Right.
Do you want
Um,
to talk about did we already talk about where people can run games? Yes, we
Yes.
did that. We
Uh-huh.
talked about what panels. I mean, do we want to talk about panels?
Well, one thing I would like to point out, and it is totally in your bailiwick since you were the main person in charge of creating StoryPath Ultra.
Yes.
The various places that you can get information about Ultra
Yes.
during the con, because that's our
Mhm.
newest game system. It is
That's true.
the slimmed down, tweaked, and beautified version of StoryPath. It doesn't necessarily replace StoryPath, but we think you'll probably want to use Ultra.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So right now, I'm pretty sure it's right now. You can go to Drive-Through RPG. I will drop a link to it in the chat. And you can download our brochure for StoryPath Ultra, which has a little bit of a preview of what's different between StoryPath non-Ultra and StoryPath Ultra. So here's the link. And we so you can look at that. That's available right now.
Mhm.
You can also see it in action at the World Below actual play that's going to be going on Sunday.
Mhm.
Mhm.
World Below is using it. I believe there's a They Came From actual play that's going on
Mhm.
Yeah, there's
tomorrow.
There's a TC Core Ultra at 6:30 today, according to the schedule.
Is that using the Ultra rules?
Well, it says TC Core Ultra, so I was assuming, but I don't know.
Continuum Core Ultra brochure demo.
Oh, it's okay. Somebody's using the Ultra to do TC,
Yeah.
which is cool.
But I'm excited to watch yours.
I am going to be running just a straight up StoryPath Ultra to show off the rules and show off what it can do.
Yeah.
Tomorrow evening at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 5 p.m.,
5 p.m.
whatever, 5 p.m. Eastern.
Right. All
Yep.
times are Eastern. When we mentioned them, all times are Eastern.
Yes.
Eastern
And-
Daylight Time right now.
Yeah. So
I never put EDT or EST. I just put Eastern because I never remember.
I always say EST, even though I daylight savings. What's that?
Yeah.
It's a scam.
And then we will probably talk a little bit about Ultra in the StoryPath panel tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about it a lot,
Right.
along with all the games that we're making for StoryPath and StoryPath Ultra, et cetera, et cetera.
So
Right.
if you haven't had a chance to find out what's going on with Ultra, why are we doing it, all that sort of stuff, we've got all sorts of opportunities this whole convention you can dip in and whatever format you like the best and see what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that's
Yes.
such a good point at this to mention that how the structure works is that all the panels are going to be here on the Onyx Path Twitch, But all of that story path stuff that Danielle mentioned for the actual plays, that's going to be over on the Dork Tales channel specifically.
Yes.
And basically we have 4 other channels for all the actual plays to go on. So like, for example, all of our Onyx 20 and They Came From stuff is going to be on Plastic Age Plays. All of our Scion stuff is going to be on Rolling Nomads, and all of our Trinket Kingdom stuff will be on Simulacra TV. So it's not all going to be here. We have to kind of click around a little bit. But if you go to our Discord, people are happy to point you in the right directions, and all of our events are listed with the right place to find them on our Discord too. So Discord's the best place to keep track of where everything's going on.
And of course, because every single person who's attending right now reads the Monday meeting notes from our Monday meeting
Of course.
blog.
Of course.
For 2 weeks in a row, I posted the full schedules, and they have the information about where to go for each of the things on those schedules.
Yeah, and if you don't want to dig through the Monday meeting notes, and I don't know why you wouldn't, but if for some reason you're a weirdo, there is also a separate page on the website that simply says Onyx Path Virtual Gaming Convention starts today, where it just has the schedule and all the links you need. So we've made it as easy as possible for people to find us. Either go to theonyxpath.com or go to the Onyx Path Discord. You'll be able to find pretty quickly where everything's going to be at.
Very cool.
So I don't know. Dixie, have we gotten any like non-game line specific questions, or are they all pretty specific to game lines?
All the ones I'm seeing are mostly game line specific. Some folks asking about the second TV show, which we already addressed, that we don't have details about it yet.
Right.
Yeah, lots of questions about Story Path Ultra, which we will get to in that panel, or other panels about Story Path games. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Checking out. Someone asked me to decide on our video backgrounds, and I think it's just whatever. I mean, for D and Rich, that's just where they live. And
Yes,
Eddy's is where he lives, but blurry.
Right.
My beautiful French doors behind me.
Yeah, and nobody wants to see my scooter and air conditioning in the background here, so.
And I just use my blue screen, and this is just the Onyx Path background that I use.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably actually do that going forward, but yeah.
I mean, it just makes sense. And like, so behind my blue screen is a bunch of boxes of stuff that I didn't want in the frame. So
Right.
that's why I'm using the blue screen.
Exactly.
And I have to use the blue screen because my hair is green.
And one can only assume that, Danielle wants everyone to see that she's got these beautiful French doors. She's
That's true.
Pretty proud of those. But what's in the darkness behind them? No one knows.
No
Could be
one knows.
It's a mystery.
Klaus is actually so I brought Klaus to daycare today because
Oh.
we are currently experiencing a pretty nasty heat wave in Texas. With like I looked at my app at like 2 something or 3 something, hottest part of the day, and it told me it felt like it was 110 degrees outside. And I was inside in the air conditioning, and I still wanted to die knowing that. So I have not been walking him because I don't want to have my dog die of dehydration or heat stroke.
Right.
But that has been causing him to be very, how shall we say, rambunctious the past couple of days. And so he is. Yeah. It turns out a puppy needs walks or something. So
Exercise.
I had no idea.
And the puppy will make his own exercise if he doesn't get it from
especially
you.
a puppy
Pretty
that like
much.
weighs what I do. Like he's a big
Yeah.
dog.
He is 60 pounds. He will probably be heavier than that once he's done growing, but he's a 60-pound puppy, and he makes his own fun in the house with the cats. And anyway, he's at the daycare today to try to hopefully burn some of that energy off before I'm sitting in an actual play for the evening, and I won't be able to,
Give him the attention he thinks he needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like attention he thinks he needs. I feel like that's one of my cats is very much like always wants to be in your lap, but I'm like, you don't need to be on me 24/7, but okay.
Yes, I do.
We are getting some questions now though, which is fun. A bunch of gamers asked what our favorite house rule is for our own tables. for any game, I guess.
What a weird. Okay. For
It's kind of
any
weird
game.
because like most of the house rules I use, I just put into the games I design.
Yeah, I think most of my house rules are like things that I've stolen from like Pugmire. Like I use Popcorn Initiative a lot
Right.
in all games, and I also like pooled inspiration, a la the Fortune Bowl,
Mhm.
because I think that encourages teamwork.
It does. Yeah.
So
I do.
I just like to do those things in general in other games now.
Mhm.
But I think that most like yeah, you usually when you make games, you take things that would be house rules and you just make them rules because you prefer them.
Mhm.
Right. And actually one that I was using for a while, Rich gave me the idea for, which was Binding Wounds.
Which was a house
I
rule of
love Binding
ours.
Wounds. Yeah,
Right,
no.
right. I remember that, and then I just like put it in Realms of Pugmire now. Now it's Licking
Yeah,
Wounds, but
my
it's the same thing.
my home game does that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, and you know, I mean, if you've got a system, regardless of the system, if you just want to give your players a little bit of a chance to, you know, heal up,
Mhm.
get better, move to the thing, you know, remove a condition, whatever the however the rule system works.
Mhm.
I think that just makes perfect sense. And we were doing that way back in the day with
Yeah.
D&D and going, we
Right.
don't have any, or you know, somebody just knocked our cleric unconscious. Yeah, we're screwed. No, wait, I've got some cloth. Yeah, bind me up.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not bleeding as much. Yay.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Mm-mm.
I think that you know that's you get touched on it really very correctly that if you're playing and you're designing and you're playing and you're designing, it's all one process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like what you hear about, even if you're not playing a game, but you're hearing about people playing a game, you know, it's just all grist for the mill. It just goes in your
Mhm.
head and you start thinking. So when you see how something like Ultra Story Path before that, any of Essence, how that has worked off of both earlier editions of the same kind of system, but also other games that have a cool play element where you go, ooh, how can I make that work into Ultra, or how
Right.
can I put this into Essence? Like this, we've been doing that. Everybody does that. Like you know,
Yeah.
original White Wolf and the Storyteller system. Uh, the dice pool whole setup and things like that was inspired by what was going on with Shadowrun.
Mhm.
Yep. Mhm.
Not surprisingly, when the same person involved with that came over and did some design work for the early White Wolf. So,
Right.
you know,
Right.
Mhm.
You
that's the
say that.
nature of it, just in a good way.
Yeah, you say that, Rich, but I do have a house rule that I use when I run games, and it doesn't matter what game it is,
Mhm.
that I can't really put into a game.
Okay.
Not really. And that house rule is if you make me laugh so hard that I stop breathing, I don't care what it is you were trying to do, you succeed at it.
Yep.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I definitely let a lot of things just happen because they're too good. I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, no, of course that happens. Like by the rules, no, it can't happen, but it definitely did happen because that was
Yes.
wonderful, and I love you. Yeah, no, I anything that encourages having fun at the table is always important to me. And granted, in a lot of our more horror focused games, that's not maybe what you're trying to do. But even that, like I am incapable of playing most games seriously. I am not the person you want for a very serious minded game of personal horror because I'm going to make a pun, or I'm going to say something that I shouldn't, and that's okay. That's what I like to play. Everyone's different, but no, that's the perfect rule. I think D is just like you made me laugh a lot, and you win.
Yeah.
Congrats.
And you know, and
Congrats.
50% of the time, at least, they're also making people around the table laugh, and you know,
Mhm.
the rest of the time, it's just your weird and disturbed sense of humor that is that they're tickling versus the whole table. But hey, you're running the game.
Yeah. We've been asked two separate questions that kind of go together. So, favorite symbol for a group and favorite cover art for an Onyx Path game.
Uh,
Right? That's
I'll
hard.
let you all go with that because I'm intimately involved with a bunch of that.
right.
Yeah, I know, right?
So if we
Somebody just
choose
asked Rich.
badly,
I was gonna say somebody just asked Rich to choose his favorite child.
Yeah.
I don't feel as emotionally attached to the symbols. If I had been, then the last bunch of years and editions would have ripped that apart.
Mm.
I'm definitely not going to include the White Wolf properties in this because everybody knows the symbols. They've been like touched on. Like
Right.
I specifically am trying to think about Onyx Path stuff. And as far as that goes, I mean, I've got to shout out all the Scion symbols. Like, you can't just pick one of those because if you look at the process that Rich goes through for creating those, which you've gone over on the blog many times, they are so intricate and they are
Maybe
so
too many times.
But I love them though, and they're so specific to the individual pantheons. And even when you start going into pantheons like the Mythos pantheon, it's still like a process that matters.
Right.
And every time I look at any of those, you like find new little things that I wouldn't even have noticed. But
Mhm.
like Rich put them in there, and he put them in there very deliberately. It's not just like a collection of random stuff. Like,
Mhm.
it's like here's this shield because of this, and they have a knot language, so I put these knotted ropes, and I'm like, I would never have thought to question the knotted ropes in this. Like, it just looked cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think all the science symbols are amazing.
I get some really good suggestions these days from the Scion teams about what's relevant, what's not relevant, what
Mhm.
should be in there, and in some cases what shouldn't be in there.
Right.
Things that pop culture would have said would have been in there for a particular group, but has been shown to be detrimental for that group, and that's something really great that we have people who can step up and do that and say, hey, no, 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 no.
Mhm.
And I have a specific, and I'm not saying this to be a jerk or anything like that, and I'm not trying to poke at anybody else or any other company doing things like this. But I was told when we did the Polynesian pantheon,
Mhm.
is that God?
I think that's a
Think
god.
so. Yeah.
Do not use the Maori facial tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
not part of this. Do not do that. This it's very personal.
Right.
Mhm.
And I didn't. It
Mhm.
was not a necessity to do that. But I maybe might not have known that
Mhm.
myself. And so making sure that we can have that kind of the stuff with the visuals as well as with the writing is something that's really important for approaching Scion.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Um,
Yeah. For me, I mean, obviously, I'm gonna be biased on symbols, but I mean, I really love the shield for Pugmire,
Mhm.
because I had no idea what to do for a symbol for the city itself, and Rich just kind of did this quick doodle of a little swirl pugtail, and I was like, that's it, that's exactly it. And it's so great. I mean, in fact, it's even on on the dice, and it's like it's such a great little simple symbol, but it's so distinctive that it just
Mhm.
really sells that experience.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
then for cover, I really think the Dystopia Rising Evolution cover is
That's a
one
good
that,
cover.
yeah, I mean, I remember when we
goodie.
talked about it, I was like, in my head, I never really said this. I was like, I'm thinking kind of grindhousey, Mad Maxy thing, and then I wrote right over to Mike and whatnot, but then we got exactly that back, and it just really, like, yes, that kind of almost late '70s, early '80s moment, but distilled through a modern lens, just really sold that post-apocalyptic experience in one image. And I think it's a fantastic cover.
I think for a similar reason, I have to go with Beyond the Grave. Because
Yep.
Beyond the Grave cover is a work of art. It's absolutely beautiful, and it looks like a poster from a 1975 horror movie.
Yep.
Yep.
I think it's gorgeous, and like the actual background art is beautiful. Like the actual like art piece is gorgeous,
Mhm.
but then once you add that with the logo work that like Mike and Rich, I know both worked a lot on all that stuff, and it looks exactly like it's supposed to. And I like Beneath the Sea, I like all the other ones, but to me Beyond the Grave is like the They Came From book that like smashes it for me and really
Mhm.
sells the feel of what you're going for with that movie poster thing.
And I swear this isn't hype, but I think when folks see the cover art for Trade Continuum Aegis,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
they're gonna
Yeah.
it's one of my favorites of the many Trinity covers, Trinity Continuum covers,
Yeah.
TCCC, that we have done now, and wow, Shenfei just knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, all the Trinity covers are fantastic.
Yeah.
That's Mark Kelly who did the Beyond the Grave, I
Mhm.
think.
Oh
The
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a good piece. It makes
yeah,
me happy.
it's great to see him also enjoying, as you were saying, the kind of stepping back to the visuals of the earlier era that inspired a
Mhm.
lot of artists to get into stuff.
Hmm.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I mean, I have a soft spot, much like Eddie does with Pugmire. I've got a soft spot for the Exalted Essence logo, simply
Sure.
because that was an idea that I and Rich and Mike all like collaborated on, but I really wanted to take the Exalted Third logo and pull it back to like a sketch or a blueprint.
Hmm.
And they executed that so beautifully, especially considering that the things I was sending them were things I was making in literally MS Paint. This is before I owned Photoshop or Procreate.
Mhm.
So I was literally going into Paint and like turning the contrast all the way up so I could get rid of all the color, and, like doing all this like random shit, or like
Right.
doing it on like Pixlr.com. And they turned it into something that is exactly what I was thinking. It was very, very, very cool. So that's one of the coolest things about working on like the words part of this. Although now I'm doing a little bit of layout too, so I'm doing both of it. But working on the words part is when you describe something, and then you see it come back.
Mhm.
And I think
Totally.
that most of us that deal more with the word side and not as much with the art side, it's just such a cool feeling to be like, here, I described some stuff. I hope this helps. And then you see the art and you're like, oh, that's it. There it is. It's there. That's awesome.
I will share that with you because as art directing, how many? 8 million pieces of art now
Mhm.
over the years. There's still this just magical thing that happens even as when you're the art director and you're doing a SketchUp and you're doing the art notes and showing the artist do this and have this over here and stuff like that. And then when they actually bring that whole thing together, there are times when it's just breathtaking where you just go, wow,
Mhm.
that's so much better than anything I was even imagining in my head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's art in essence of a bunch of exalts fighting a behemoth creature that we gave the artist very few notes on. And that is one of the most beautiful pieces of art I think we've ever put in an exalted book. And every time I see it, I'm like, I love this piece so much. It's so
Yeah.
great. And like even the little details, like there's an ending sidereal who I think was supposed to be based on a character I played in an actual play like 2 years ago,
Mm.
who's very small and like kind of in the background, but you can see her and she looks right. She's got the purple glow, and it's such a cool piece. And I kind of love that comic art ish thing that we've done for a few of them. But like really, it's cool to see all of it.
Yeah, I would say that I for my favorite symbols, y'all might not know this. I don't know. I don't how
Oh,
well can hold on.
I
Can
don't know how
y'all
well we can see
see?
it.
Can y'all see? Oh, it's spiders.
That's okay. You can show spiders. We're
Okay,
Just so
spiders.
you, everybody,
Just so as a
tattoos
there's a
of
visual.
warning.
spiders.
I don't know. You can see
They're not really on her arm.
the old Aeon symbol for adventure,
Yeah.
and then there's one
So
here.
a Black Widow with adventure on it.
Yeah, and all of them. I have all the Trinity Aeon symbols
Mhm.
tattooed on my arm.
Hope,
Um,
sacrifice, unity sort of stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when you were
So
looking for that, you were looking for an animal that would do a good trinity, and I was like, the three fates
yeah,
are the three spiders. Two spiders. Yeah.
right.
Right.
Ian and Dixie encouraged me to do spiders as a kind of a thing to commemorate my work on Trinity Continuum,
I don't even like
and
spiders, but they look
Mm.
cool.
they look really cool. This artist is fantastic, but so I'll have to say that my favorite symbols are the Aeon Society symbols,
Mhm.
because I literally have them tattooed on my body.
Mhm.
For art covers, like that's hard. We have done some really cool art covers, but I actually really like the cover on the Masks of the Mythos.
Mhm.
Like that
Yeah.
cover is really
You're
pretty.
absolutely right. That's a really cool cover.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a gorgeous
It's
cover.
deceptively scary.
It
Mhm.
is. I like one of the many like I don't know, one of the many books that I like got in the mail and was like, ooh, it's even more impressive in
Mhm.
person. Like that
Yeah,
isn't
because it's
always
wrapped
true.
around at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, but that isn't always true. Sometimes it's just like, yeah, it looks the same, but like
Yeah.
sometimes you get it in person and you're just like, yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
I think the other one that I always want to shout out when we talk about this like kind of cover art is the series that is the Trinity covers.
Yeah.
Because they're all these really cool composite pieces that when you look at them, more and more stuff happens. There's like little tiny things. You're like, oh, that's in the book. It's a little tiny scene. I never would have noticed. But like
Mm-hmm.
those would look so cool as like a set of posters on the wall for like movies, you know?
Yep.
Because they all work together. They're all similar, but they all have their own distinctive thing.
I think we have enough of them now that we could do something like that. I want to. Ian has created a bit of a timeline already, but I mean, I think that would actually be a fun poster to just, one of those odd posters that goes, not it's short this way but long this way or
Oh yeah,
something
that'd
like
be
that.
cool. I just want the anime cover as a poster. I'm not gonna lie, but that's me.
Yeah, we could definitely get in there and just do the one. Yeah.
Yeah, but just like those are really cool. And once again, like I found them cooler after seeing Rich break down his process.
Yeah, right.
It's like seeing all the little you know details and scenes and things that go into making this very cool cover that is a format of art that I'm not even that used to. Like you don't often see that very long narrow art that has all the scenes in it. It's not a super common
Right.
way of drawing, and I think that's cool. It makes them look really really distinctive. Yeah.
I see that somebody has asked what your favorite monster or antagonist from OPP games is, and I have a ready answer for that.
Go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's Francis, the the sentient octopus from the Trinity Continuum Core.
Yeah.
Clearly.
D.
Oh no.
We're gonna litigate this again.
You've brought the battle to the public.
I mean, but what about the devil himself?
I love Francis
devil
so
himself.
much. Like, Rich, you could just get bent, okay? Francis is a national treasure.
God, he's Cthulhu's younger cousin.
I do love Francis. I mean, I guess for favorite antagonist, like, is it bad to say one that I wrote? Like, is that
No.
weird? Because I am a big fan.
It's a little egotistic, but fine.
I like everything I wrote for Beyond the Grave, but I specifically will like always find it funny that Matthew let me do this, which is that when the haunted house has its attributes and skill list, it just says it's a house, and the next one says it's still a house, because houses don't have attributes nor skills. They are just there.
They're a house.
And so yeah, like, is it the best thing ever? No, but it still amuses me like 3-4 years later. So I'm just gonna go with it. Like I still find the music. Now there are some terrifying antagonists in other books that are scarier, but for favorite, it's a house. He's fine.
Mine is, I think, in Squeaks to Deep, the sentient collection of plastic baby heads.
I was gonna say, is it the freaking Gaga Mama?
Yeah, the Gaga Mama, yeah.
That thing's horrifying.
I know. And every time I describe it, I was like, oh, this could be a fun game about dogs and cats. And then they say this, and it's like, nope.
No.
Also, those weird little lightning birds from Squeaks made an appearance in my game recently.
Oh, yeah.
There's like 3 different
Dada.
kinds of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the Dodros, I think.
Oh, because like the dums, the dodrums, and the tree drums, or whatever. 'Cause they multiply. Yeah.
Those were fun.
Yeah. Those are actually both from. I remember Josh Deitch wrote those, and so much fun.
He knows scary.
He does know scary. He has the right balance of scary too.
Yeah. Josh is very good at creepy rather than
Right.
scary. Like everything's just creepy and weird.
Right.
Do you have any favorite antagonists, Rich?
Ooh. I actually was thinking of one, and it's weird because it's so far back and but we did do something with it, even though it's not a strict Onyx Path only thing. But I remember when the God Machine was just a myth, a little vignette we threw into Chronicles of Darkness core rule book, World of Darkness core rule book then, and that in and of itself just caught my imagination and made me start to go, yeah, this is different than things we've done before, and I really really like that. And so when we came to do the second editions, the more emphasis we could put on the God Machine,
Mhm.
even to the point of Rose's inspiration and really pushing it in Demon
Yeah.
in Chronicle of Darkness. So I think that's an example of the kind of antagonist that I really like, where you see the potential in it and you can run with that. And in our case, because we were publishing the book, we could really run with it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But that has occurred. It's like the idea of picking up a minor villain in something and then going, you know what? I'm going to have them show up again. And
Mhm.
as soon as you do that, makes them
Right.
not just minor. It makes them continuing, and then you can have a lot of fun with them.
Mhm.
So
Definitely.
Yeah, like bringing back your silly clown-based villain in a comic book, and suddenly you have a 60-year, 80-year feud.
that's exactly right, and it becomes archetypical.
Now,
Right.
there are two specific questions, one for Rich and one for Eddie.
Okay.
So Rich, are you going to play Beret Necessities, the Best Lunar Exalt again?
I unfortunately am not playing this year. The middle of last year, so we're not quite a year up, but we were already prepping for it last year. Um, my wife and I moved from our 17 years living in one house to a very different place.
Mhm.
And that process was so exhausting after all that time. And you can see these are just like a tiny little taste. These are just Onyx Path books,
Mhm.
Yeah.
of just the books we brought, never mind everything else.
I've seen the library. It's a lot of books.
It's a lot. I don't actually get rid of books if I can avoid it.
Mhm.
So even I like to have them there somewhere in the house so that if I have an inspiration, I can just run and I know I saw this somewhere.
Yeah,
Um,
it's my
and sometimes
husband.
it's visual, sometimes it's story based, whatever.
Mhm.
But it was really, really a tough process all the way through. A lot of the just anything you do with moving is always tough, and so only just getting back to being able to cover everything the way I want to. I did a back injury thing, and so
Mm.
I have a touch of sciatica that shows up, and that's so painful.
Yay.
And I don't want to sound like I'm as old as I am when I start saying these things, but it actually was. It's just getting back to it. So
Ah,
it's
the
very
back pain and my
well.
legs are out, my knees
This
are
year,
going.
last year we did a bunch of stuff with the Crossroads Continent and things like that. And I really
Right.
just wanted to put that on simmer for a while,
Mhm.
come back to it. We will come back to it, and I will run some games because now I have a big circular light and I have a new camera and
Yeah.
I'm all
All
set up
fancy.
to do this thing. But then it's like, yeah, but you're still catching up on this other thing that you like delayed for 7 months. Okay, okay, okay.
I think they
So
just want to see you wear the bear hat again, personally.
I
I
know,
think that's
I
what's
know,
going
and I
on.
know that was more story than anybody really wanted, but there you go. There you go. I want you to know there's reasons behind these things. There's actual reasons.
And Eddie, how are you coping with the UK heat wave?
Badly, honestly. Um, uh, uh, Now, granted, our heat wave is nowhere near Texas, right? We're in London. It's about between 25 and 30 degrees Celsius, so about 80 to 90.
Mhm.
But England's not a country that needs really air conditioning most of the time, so we just
Not
don't
set up
have
for
it,
it.
right?
That was my problem when I lived in Connecticut. Is like the very few apartments have like central air, and
Yeah.
so there's only like 2 or 3 weeks out of the year that you really need it, but you really need it during those 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it kind of snuck up on us. So we've had all the windows open, which has actually been nice. We had a good breeze going, and then now we've invested in fans and like I mentioned before, there's a small air conditioner fanny unit, which is literally just like it's a glorified. I'm looking back like you can see it, but you can't. But it's like a little glorified fan, but actually has like an ice cube tray on the top that you put ice
Oh
cubes
yeah,
in so it
yeah,
could
yeah.
blow
Oh,
cold air.
how 19th century.
Right, I know. It's like it's a weirdly modern version of a very old idea,
Yeah.
which is England in a nutshell, honestly. Yeah, it's been a challenge, but luckily We found some solutions. Darby is not a fan because she has not figured out. My dog Darby, who's a boxer, she has not figured out that the sun that she loves also brings the heat that she hates.
So then
So
she just pants, right?
yes, she lays in the sun and pants really hard, and then goes, "Why is it so hot?" And it's like, "Get out of the sun, baby." And she's like, "No, but it's sun."
I always lay here.
Right,
Sweet.
exactly. It's like, baby,
Yeah.
you were so smart and so stupid.
Dogs
Dogs
in a
in an
nutshell.
yes, exactly. I was just thinking that, yeah, like Klaus has been doing that too, where he'll go outside and he'll lay down in the sun, and I'm like, it's really hot out there. Do you want to come in? And he'll come in and be like, why is it so hot? I'm like, yeah,
The
I am
thing
in,
I just told you.
yeah.
I am in
Only
the
someone could have warned
wonderful,
you.
wonderful position of having my electricity included in my rent. So my apartment stays set around 68. So the
Nice.
cats can sit in a sunbeam all they want, and it's still nice and cool in the apartment. So there's one good thing about apartment living when you can get it is if you're like
Yeah.
water and electric are included. It's like cool. I will use as much electricity as I want to.
Yeah, and Craig Oxborough pointed out in chat that like, but in the UK, you're not prepared for summer, but you're also not prepared for winter or spring or autumn.
Yeah.
And it's true, like because like I mean, I moved here going, okay, it's London. I'm used to it's going to be wet, it's going to be rainy, and it's not rained for like 2 months. It's like we actually need rain. Oh my
So
god.
we've only got a couple of minutes left. Someone did ask what Onyx Path games you want to be turned into video games. I think the answer is probably all of them.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and we're not holding any back.
Yeah,
So
like
if anybody's interested in making video games of any of our intellectual properties that we actually own, we would love to talk.
Yeah, I
Love
want a Quagmire
conversation.
video game. I want a Trinity
Oh,
video
yeah.
game. I want a Scion video game. I want
And to be fair, we've had those conversations with some potential licenses. We just haven't ever so far come to an agreement.
Right.
But that said, is there anything else you want to mention before we close out these opening ceremonies? Do you want to be ceremonial for a minute, Rich? I don't know. Do you have
Well,
like a knife and a chalice or anything?
Or maybe a bell.
I was about to ask where your silver bell was.
There
Oh.
it is. Yay.
I'm going to officially start this convention right here, right now with
By
this
ringing
bell.
the bell.
It's the silver bell, the famous silver bell you've heard in song and story, and here it goes.
Is it?
Did you break
Is it going?
Did you not hear it?
Barely. No, barely heard it.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, you
I was
go.
going for the visual, not the sound,
Ah, I
which
see.
is,
okay.
in a nutshell, right there.
We're players. Imagine the bell.
It sounds however you need it to sound. Is it the tinkling tintabulation of the silver bells, or the solid, what was it, molten, mellow tones of the golden bells? For
Roll perceptive plus alertness to perceive the bell.
all of you Poe fans out there will get what I'm doing there.
Yes,
Okay.
indeed.
But other than that, I just want everybody to go and have a good time.
Yeah, have a good time. You can see us all weekend. There's schedules on Twitch posted. All of the events are in our events tab in the Discord. Like it's like 46 events. So if you want to just scroll through when things are happening, you could do like me and write some down so that you don't forget when they are.
Yes.
Because post-it notes are my life. Although Fridays ended up being very light. It was just one thing.
I have
just
all
this.
mine on my Google Calendar.
I had them there too, but I wanted to have them physically in front of me at all times. Because that's the kind of ADHD brain I have.
That's
That's
fair.
totally fair. Whatever works for you.
So
Whatever works, make it work. That's the trick.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here.
Yeah.
We'll
Thanks,
see you throughout
folks.
the weekend. I know Eddy wants to go to bed because
Yes. But for those of you who are curious, Scion panels in 1 hour at this thing. If you want to see that trailer again, maybe, or if you have your Scion questions, come back here in an hour.
Yep. See you
Thanks.
later. Bye, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.